I rejected my boy best friend 9 years ago when we were in high school, and since I've been single, I realized I want to mingle with him for the rest of my life, but he just asked me to set him up with my girl best friend. I, 24F, have a friend, 22M, who I've known since high school. We'll call him Jordan. When we met, we quickly became friends, talking during free periods and playing iMessage games almost daily. I was in 10th grade, he was in 9th. A little while into our friendship, he expressed interest in me, but at the time I was in a relationship that started the same year I met him, and ended about a year after I graduated high school. So I rejected him. We've never revisited that idea, and we've been great friends ever since. Over the last several months, I've slowly but surely started developing feelings for him that I hadn't had before. I always assumed our relationship would stay platonic, but I see him in a different light now. I had been contemplating for a while now about whether or not I should say something for multiple reasons, but mostly fear. What if we get together, don't like it, and have trouble going back to normal as friends? What if our vibe isn't the same in a more serious relationship? What if he's no longer interested after I rejected him years ago? We're such good friends that I don't want to lose what we have, and I'm afraid that pursuing romance with him would leave too much room for error. Yesterday I had a birthday, and planned a short trip to a surrounding city over the weekend about 2 hours from home. I rented one of the nicest gathering homes I'd ever seen, invited a handful of friends, old and new, and celebrated. I was slightly unprepared and stressed out most of the time, but for what it was worth, it was a great weekend overall. Jordan was so helpful to me during the whole planning process. We were talking almost every day, he ran errands for me, helped me pay for a few things, took the weekend off to come on the trip with me, he was constantly checking in on me, and did literally everything he could to try and eliminate as much of my stress as possible. He was a lifesaver, and I have no idea how I would have done any of that without him. He's the reason I didn't cancel the whole trip due to all the stress of hosting. At this point I was leaning more towards telling him how I really feel about him, and started working up the courage to do so. During the second day of the trip, my best friend, 24F, who I've been friends with since middle school, drove up and joined the trip. We'll call her Maya. During the short time she was there, Maya and Jordan got acquainted and started hanging out a bit. I noticed Jordan constantly checking for her and watching out for her. I didn't think too much about it because he's genuinely just an attentive person, but I did notice. By the end of the night, after we had all got back to the house from being out, Jordan and Maya both hopped up and announced they were going to the diner down the street that was open late. They quickly invited everyone as they were rushing out of the house to go, but we all declined since we had food left over from the night before. It was 3 a.m., and it was so abrupt. Maybe an hour or so later, I saw they had returned but stayed in the car for a really long time before coming back inside. That's when I really started to worry that something was brewing between them. I had another friend come back by to spend the second night with us, and our sleeping arrangements changed. Jordan ended up offering Maya his room to stay in since he works the night shift and planned on staying up all night to help tidy up the house before we checked out the next morning. Fast forward to when we left and all went back home, Jordan thanked me for inviting him and let me know how much he had enjoyed all of my friends. Then he specifically mentioned Maya. I jokingly but seriously hinted at them falling in love during the trip, and threw in that I picked up on their connection. He jokingly responded that it was my fault for leaving them unattended. He then explained that he was feeling her, but can't handle another heartbreak, and that the only reason he didn't exchange information with her is because he had recently cut his hair and wasn't confident with it yet. By then it was clear to me that he was heavily interested, especially since I had already suspected there was something there. I'd be lying if I said the confirmation didn't feel like a dagger in my chest. He wanted her number and I reached out to Maya to make sure she was okay with giving it to him, and of course she was. And so that was it. Now I've just been left feeling heartbroken, and it's hard to even put into words. My feelings are so hurt, and not because of anything they didn't know after all. But because I was too late. I guess I could have told Maya how I felt, but I didn't feel the need to. I didn't think she would come for a day and immediately hit it off with my friend. I genuinely thought I had more time to think about how to express my new feelings for Jordan and when, but I guess not. How crazy would it have looked for me to step in between them the second I realized they had a connection and try to stop it at the last minute? Why didn't you say anything? Or why would you wait so long? I really don't know, but I guess it just didn't feel right to mention it when Jordan told me, because that's not the way I wanted him to find out how I felt. I wanted to be so much more intentional about having that conversation, and right in the midst of him expressing his feelings for another person just didn't feel like the right time. Maybe I shouldn't have played matchmaker either, but again, I really don't know what I was supposed to do. I haven't talked to Maya, or anyone about any of this. This just happened 2 days ago, so it's fresh and I'm just hurting so bad. Jordan and I have talked about other people we were interested in before, but it's so much different when it's my best friend. I really thought I had more time, but who am I to expect someone to wait on me to be ready to tell them I love them past friendship? Do I say something or just leave it alone? Probably gonna leave it alone, since we're already kinda in deep. They exchanged numbers and are probably talking now anyway, so what's it worth? I know Jordan can sense there's something up with me, but I just don't know if I have the heart to tell him after literally helping him be with someone else who is my best friend. I just don't know what to do and I want to cry. I want to redo the whole weekend and fix this before it even gets the chance to happen. I'm so hurt. What would you do? Update. This whole situation has been the plot twist of my year, and it's only the first week of March. I had a long chat with my cousin to try working out my feelings, and to get some advice in real time. Once I was able to clear my head, I decided to reach out to both Maya and Jordan the same day I made the original post. I already had my mind made up that I was just going to express my feelings, explain my actions to the both of them, and fall back from my friendship with Jordan. I didn't plan on changing anything about my relationship with Maya because she's my best friend. She was oblivious, did nothing wrong, and I'm a girl's girl after all. Jordan didn't do anything wrong either, but this is more of a brothers before hus kind of thing, lol. If Jordan was gonna be her man, I felt it was only right to respect that, tell them both the truth, put some space between Jordan and I, heal up, and move on. So I spoke with Maya first. I told her the whole truth, exactly what I told you guys. I added that I was going to be reaching out to Jordan as well to set some boundaries in our relationship, and Maya felt absolutely horrible, which made me feel bad too. She explained to me that she was just trying to have fun, flirting carelessly to pass the time. She did enjoy the conversations they had and didn't mind continuing to talk with him after the trip, but she didn't intend on taking him seriously, and just thought he was really cute. She was just gonna keep things going, play with him until she got bored of him, and then move on to the next thing like she normally does with other men. I'm paraphrasing, but these are her words. I promise I'm not being shady. Maya also mentioned that she thought Jordan seemed like a well-rounded young man, but was way too young for her, and she couldn't see him being able to give her what she needs in a long-term relationship. Context: Maya has 4 children under 6, and has always dated men who are significantly older than us. Jordan will be 23 soon, but isn't really her speed, I guess. We talked for a while about the details and concluded that this was all a big mishap. Going back to the whole girl's girl thing, I wasn't sure what to do with this info because I normally would never want to be with anyone who has had dealings with my friends. I left this conversation feeling so sticky. On one hand, I didn't know what Jordan's intentions were with Maya and wanted to be a good friend to him. I wanted to let him know what Maya's intentions were to protect him from any potential hurt. On the other hand, I wanted to stay loyal to Maya since I was sure this was info she hadn't planned on sharing with Jordan. Luckily, Maya ended up letting me know that she no longer felt comfortable talking with Jordan now that she knew my true feelings, and was going to ghost him. So now I no longer felt like I was in such a pickle, harboring secrets. Both conversations happened through text BTW. I then spoke with Jordan. Although I had already gotten a full understanding of where Maya's head was, I still didn't know exactly what had gone on between them, both on the trip and after. I didn't ask either. I stuck to the girl code and laid out a very simple explanation for Jordan. I told him I still wanted to be friends, but expressed that I needed some space, that his access to me would be limited, we share locations, close friends on IG, etc., and let him know that I didn't want to just disappear on him for a while and not at least let him know why. I unshared my location with him, removed him from my close friends, and expected that to be the end of it. I was so very wrong. Jordan works nights, and was asleep when I texted him, which I knew. When he woke up and responded to me, he was devastated. He said he wanted to talk further about this whole situation because he was having a really hard time accepting me wanting to fall back from him. He told me he's had feelings for me for years and that they'd never gone away since the first time he expressed them to me back when we were 15 and 16 years old. Apparently, he had planned to try and shoot his shot again during the trip and couldn't seem to nail a right time. Then the day Maya got there, she, unintentionally, slipped some misinformation to him during their parked car convo that made him lose hope. Remember when I said that another friend had come back to the house and sleeping arrangements changed? That friend, let's call him Mike, wasn't supposed to stay with us initially, but ended up sending money and staying at the last minute. The first night I allowed him to sleep in my room. Sounds crazy, but there was plenty of space in there, we were nowhere near each other, and that was it. I was trying to be a good host and make sure my guest had somewhere to sleep. I didn't want to be selfish and keep my room to myself if someone didn't have a comfortable space, so I shared. I didn't know Mike was coming back, but when he did, I let Maya know and we texted briefly about sleeping plans. This convo is happening while she's in the car with Jordan. I didn't want her to feel uncomfortable sleeping with a random stranger, so I gave her the option to sleep in the room alone and said that I would keep Mike company for a while in the living room before going to bed. That way his stay wouldn't be pointless. Maya volunteered to sleep on the couch, and then basically blurted out to Jordan that Mike slept in my bed the night before, was coming back to sleep in there again, and that she'd be sleeping on the couch because Mike was sleeping with me again. Jordan felt bad, and this is why he felt the need to give her his room. Because of Maya's delivery and lack of knowledge about both Mike and my feelings for Jordan, Jordan felt like Maya was implying that Mike was my man and that I was kicking her out of the room to sleep with him. I got none of this info from Maya until Jordan told me and I asked her. I was also informed that Maya was wearing some skimpy PJs and tried to invite Jordan to lay with her in the bed. He declined and slept on the couch himself, sat all night thinking he had lost his chance with me. So we talked it out. It got a little heated but stayed respectful. We were both pouring out very heavy feelings and frustration, so I understood. Jordan told me that he just felt hopeless and wanted someone to talk to. That they weren't talking about anything beyond the surface, and that he didn't want much to do with her either, just someone to keep him company, and she was there. He also said that if he had known how I felt, he would have never chosen my best friend over me, and especially not right in front of my face. He reassured me countless times that he wants me and not anyone else, that this was all just a big misunderstanding, and that if I would give him the chance, he'd show me and make it right. I thought on it for a few hours during my workout, and accepted. The next day, Jordan came to my house to bring me lunch and to chat a bit in person. When I opened the car door, there was a dozen white roses laying in the passenger seat with food from one of my favorite restaurants, and my exact order. He drove 25 minutes there and back to get my food because we don't have a location super close to us. I felt so warm and happy inside. We sat and talked for 3 hours in the car, and this was only supposed to be a drop-off. At the end of the convo, Jordan came around to help me take my things to the door. We hugged. And this hug was so much different than any other time I've hugged him. It lasted a lifetime and he made me feel so secure and safe. Then he bent down and we kissed. Then he kissed me all over my face, and landed the last one on my forehead. My heart was in my butt. Before he left, he told me how much he loved me. My friends and I say I love you all the time, so that was nothing new with us, but this time was different and I love him so much more. Since then, Jordan and I have talked every single day. We went on our first date and had such a great time together. It was so refreshing to have our feelings out in the open now, and walk around together much differently than we did as friends. We got so carried away that I wasn't walking back into my house until 4 a.m. We hang out a lot, and sometimes he comes to spend a few hours with me before he goes to work at night. Yesterday Jordan told me that I had gone on the last first date I'll ever go on, and I know you can see my tears. This disaster has been nothing short of amazing, and I've never been happier to have my heart broken temporarily. It was so worth it. I guess I'll have to update you guys in a few years, cause Jordan is a man of his word. Thanks for reading.